Hello. This is like, can't see anyone, but it's fine. So I'm Alis Pelleschi, and I'm a photographer primarily, and I've worked for loads of different magazines like Super, Vice, Glamour, ID, Bullet magazine. I've done commissioned work for people such as MTV, fashion labels such as Coke and Desire, and Umbro. I also run my own clothing label with another girl called Meet Clothing, and we've dressed people like Azealia Banks, Rita Ora, Brooke Candy, Iggy Azalea, so loads of different people. I'm going to talk a little bit how I came to get to this point in my life and my kind of like journey. So originally from Bradford, always representing obviously for Bradford, and so I did a foundation art at Leeds College, and I was kind of interested in doing everything really. Like I didn't really want to have to choose one thing, and I kind of like the idea that you shouldn't really have to choose one thing. I think as a creative person you should be able to do loads of different types of things. So I found it really difficult to decide what I wanted to do at uni, so I actually applied to do fashion and I applied to do photography. But I ended up going to Birmingham to study photography because I decided that's what I had the best skill set in and what I could probably make a career out of doing. So I went to uni. I didn't really enjoy it, didn't really get on with any of my tutors. I don't think they really understood what I was trying to do in terms of myself as an artist, so I kind of struggled on that sense. And it kind of got to my second year and I kind of started thinking, shit, how am I actually going to make any money from doing what I like doing? So I kind of thought, right, I need to start making contacts with people in London that I think could be beneficial to me, or I could, you know, a lot of networking, getting jobs is kind of like who you know. So living in Birmingham, the only way that people knew of me was kind of the internet. So I think for me, like the internet was like a massive kind of place for branding myself and putting my work out there and getting people to know who I was and what I was doing. So kind of at this point, I didn't have a website, didn't have anything like that. I had MySpace, called myself Tampon Girl. So I kind of like had this kind of character base, I guess, that people kind of knew of me. So yeah, my second year of uni, I decided to contact all these different people that I thought would be worth knowing or would be worth knowing me. So I contacted the art director of Super and stylists and club kids and makeup artists, and I went round to London and photographed and did portraits of them all. And from that, I kind of started my website, and I went back to Super and showed them the portraits, and they really liked it, and they liked me as a person, so I started doing work for Super. And yeah, so it kind of started from that really. Obviously, that wasn't making money, but it was getting my name out there, and it was getting people knowing who I was. And then it kind of got to my third year of uni, and again I was like, shit, how am I actually going to make any money and move to London and do what I want to be doing? So I moved to London. I was unemployed, didn't have a job, and I kind of used that time to start continue working for magazines and making networks and connecting with people that could potentially be my clients, and started building up paid work to the point that I could be started as a business and be self-employed and do that. So now I make enough money to live off doing photography, to pay my rent and to live and everything else. So so I'll do things like I'll do designers lookbooks, I'll do commissions for different brands, I'll do portraits. Sometimes magazine work will be paid, a lot of the time it's not, but it's kind of something you have to keep doing to keep your name out there. And yeah, I also lecture, so that's coming back to teaching and stuff like that. And then in terms of the clothing side, obviously I always had this inkling that I wanted to be doing a fashion label, but I didn't quite know how it was going to happen because I had no actual technical pattern cutting skills, hadn't studied fashion, and it kind of just came around by chance really that I was friends with a girl that was working at a fetish latex company, creating garments for gay men. And we were going out to clubs and stuff, and we were both like, yeah, I really want to wear latex, but no one's actually doing anything that's interesting and that I'd want to wear. So she started creating designs that we both came up with. And from that, and from my own online presence that I built, Nicola Formichetti saw what we were doing, and he commissioned a piece for Azealia Banks for Elle magazine. And then from that point, we were like, we've like hit something here, I think, let's like run with it. So this was just over a year ago. We put on our first fashion show in May, completely self-funded from whatever we could like grab together. I was quite lucky in the sense that I already kind of knew like fashion people, so I knew the right people I wanted to get to the event, and stylists and makeup artists and everything else that you have to think about. So yeah, we put on our first fashion show last May, and from that, Blow PR saw what we were doing and they started representing us. And since then, we've put on 2 off-schedule London Fashion Week presentations. And yeah, so it's kind of just been building from that. I mean, I think with either photography or running your own clothing brand, you have to kind of remember that a lot of it, you know, it's like 20% doing actually what you love doing, and the rest of it is building this presence and this brand and like people buying into it and meeting people. And, you know, I guess you're constantly trying to hustle for money, because once you've got one job, you've still got to be thinking about where's your next money paycheck going to come from. And I think you kind of have to make it your world if you want to be either of those things, because in order to keep the money going and be able to keep affording to be able to do what you want to do, you know, sometimes I could earn 2.5 grand in a day, and then I might not earn anything for another month or 3 months. So it's kind of, you have to budget and you have to think about yourself as a business. And, you know, it's like loads of different elements. So I do the accounts for both the meat, clothing, and for myself. And yeah, but I guess the thing is that it's all possible, and it is, it's not an impossible thing that you could be the next big photographer. I think, like, you know, there's always got to be someone that's going to be that person, so why not be you? I guess the thing that I think has kept me going has been using the internet to the best of its abilities and using it for what it's meant for. So I have my website, I then also have Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. On each platform I've probably got 4,000 to 5,000 followers on each thing. And yeah, so I mean, it's not easy, but it's all possible. But yeah, I guess the reason for me doing it is because I love doing it and I make it my life, and I guess I'm a bit of a workaholic, don't really have a social life. And if I do go out, it's generally, I'm still thinking, this person could be like my potential next client. And yeah, I guess it's also being a creative person, you have to have confidence in yourself, but you also have that self-doubt all the time that you're like, oh, I think my work's shit. But you kind of have to have that little bit of self-doubt to kind of keep pushing yourself, because I think as soon as you think that you're good enough, you're probably over. So I'm constantly trying to push myself and be better. And yeah, I think the thing that always kind of like goes back to what my granddad used to always say to me, which is like, you should always think of yourself as a student for life. And I think that's how I've always like lived my life, which is like I constantly want to learn and I want to know everything. And yeah, I think the fact that you guys are even here is really like says something about you, because you've come here because you want to push yourself and you want to know. So there's no reason not to say why you can't be that person and live that life and be you. But yeah, that's it really. So thanks.